Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a Make a Splash podcast in which I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate personal and professional change. Today's topic is create better results with less effort. And this conversation is worth your while because these days, more and more people are starting their own business or taking on more and more in life. And imagine if you're able to shift your thought habits to support where you want to go, you'll get there much faster and be much more successful. So what we're going to share with you today, you're going to find both useful in your personal life and in your professional life. I'm your host, Linda Bucher, a ripple maker, a thought leader, a master coach, and a show host. And I believe that each one of us is here to make big, beautiful ripples in the world that no one else can make. And we do this with our unique gifts. My gifts and my purpose lie in guiding smart, heart-centered leaders to make a splash that ripples positively in the world. And this show is one of the ways that I make a splash. I bring you informative conversations with heart-centered guest experts who are making splashes of their own. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Lynn Tranchell. She's a success coach who is making positive ripples in a very unique way because she helps entrepreneurs create better results with less effort. So, hi, Lynn. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great.
You're welcome. So, can you tell our audience a little bit more about what you do and who you serve? Basically, how you are making positive ripples in the world.
Yeah, so actually, I've been helping leaders achieve their goals for over 30 years. And recently, within the last 10 years, I've been helping individuals achieve their goals with less effort. And it really is important these days because with all of the things that are going on in the world, we're being bombarded by information every single day. And if we try to keep track of everything that's bombarding us, we would be overwhelmed, overloaded, and we would accomplish nothing. So when we can focus on those few things that are important to us, then we can be excellent in those areas and just accomplish much, much more with less effort, because all of that distraction keeps you from moving forward.
It sure does. So our topic today is to create better results with less effort. This is something I'm sure people are typing into Google all the time as we're being bombarded, as you're mentioning. So why hasn't what people have tried? Like, this is not the first podcast the people who are listening, our beautiful listeners, have listened to. This is not the first time people have sought out ways to create better results and to work less. And probably even the idea of putting those things together feels, it's like our programming tells us that's not even a thing. That can't happen. Can it happen? Right? So why would you say, in your experience with your clients and all the work that you've been doing, what have people tried to create better results or to have work with less effort? What have they tried and why hasn't it worked?
Yeah, a lot of people think that if I just work harder, if I just do more hours, if I just do this, if I just do that, I can be more successful, when in reality, that just keeps you from having that success. When you can focus on the few things that you really love to do, then you can create those results by first noticing when you go to do something, notice what comes to mind. Very often, something comes to mind to keep us from moving forward. And that's where the brain science comes in. There's a part of our brain that its sole purpose is to keep us safe. And yet in these days, it doesn't really know what keeps us safe and what doesn't. It would rather be wrong 99 times than to miss that one opportunity to save your life. So when you go to do something new, that part of your brain is saying, whoa, 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 I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to try to convince you to stop. And it very often does. So we want to make sure that we pay attention to those thoughts and make sure that it's really just those subconscious thoughts trying to keep us safe. And it doesn't mean we can't do it.
Right. That's a really good point. When we're working with people, you and I are both coaches, and we're working with people to try to help them to at the first point, understand the role that their thinking plays in their reality, in their perception of reality, and understand once you understand this, then you can start to tune yourself to recognize your thought patterns. And one of the big things that's a thought pattern is about this working hard. You've got to work hard. You've got to work hard. You've got to work hard. It was drilled into me, not just by what I was told, like as a kid, but also by what was exemplified. When you see your parent working super hard and then you see they're achieving, now that's just cemented that in your mind that you have to work hard to achieve. Those two things go hand in hand and there's no other way. So, but the point is, when you're following what's right for someone else, it's never going to be what's right for you. And those well-meaning people, they want what's best for us. That's what they're saying. Like, this is the way, because they want what's best for us. But only we can know what's best for us. But all those well-meaning people, they're not trying to, force us to go the wrong way. They're trying to do what they think is best for us. And when we're children, we look to them to be the leaders, and we assume they're all knowing, that they know the right way to do things. So we get a lot of these beliefs of like, you've got to work hard, success doesn't come easy, money doesn't grow on trees. And if we can go back to all these money stories that were given to us, these success stories that were given to us, these work hard stories that were given to us when we were kids, we can recognize that that was just someone trying to keep us safe. And then our brains, like you're saying, catching on, like, yep, trying to keep you safe. So.
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do is, the most important question you can ask yourself is, what would I love? Not what do I think I can do, not what do my parents say I can do, what does the economy say I can do, but what would you love? And what comes to you from that place is your true essence. It is, you stay in that vibration of what you would love, and you see things differently, and you can start doing things differently. And that's when things get easier, when you're in alignment with what is truly your essence. Then it takes a lot less time to do it. And it's a constant battle between your thoughts and taking action. So you go to take action, your thoughts pop in. You reframe those thoughts to support you. You take more action, more thoughts come in. So when my clients come to me and say, talk about their thought habits, keeping them from doing something, I say that is a good sign. If you are being told by your subconscious not to do it, that means you're moving forward. If you weren't taking any action, your subconscious would be fat, dumb, and happy and quiet. So it's when you take the action, when you hear those thought habits, those coming up, and you can reframe them to support where you want to go instead of keeping you stuck.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I like that you brought up a question that we can use to discover our true essence and which way we should be going. Because most people are like asking other people, what way do you think I should be going? Or they're on the internet listening to someone say, you should be going this way in marketing with your business, or in doing this with your life, or in doing that. And a question that I love the way it was framed by a mentor of mine, Terry Maxwell. She framed it this way. She says, just get yourself grounded in whatever way, a meditation or just walking in nature or breathing deep, getting yourself really grounded. And then whatever comes out at the end of the sentence is your soul intention. And it goes like this: I'm so happy and grateful now that, and whatever comes out is your soul intention. And usually it's not even anything like what you were striving towards. And striving to me is also a good word, because striving, if it doesn't feel like pull, then I don't feel like that's in alignment, because what's in alignment with your soul intention feels like pull, not push. So that's like a way to discover if your soul, like find that soul intention and then do the things that are pulling you towards it.
Exactly. And I also liken that to a river. If you ask, what would I love, or whatever, and then you put that goal in the river, that goal is actually downstream. If you look at your circumstances and say, what can I do? Then you put that goal upstream. So you can either be battling going upstream, or you can easily flow with the river, go downstream. And that is one of the ways we create better results with less effort. We're either fighting the current or we're going with it. So by asking those questions to get to your true essence, you're going with it, and it's easier. And it's almost, I love Harry Potter. I love magic, and it looks like magic to other people. It's really not, because you're doing the work. So you're doing the work creates those results that you just easily flow downstream and accomplish it much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a very beautiful thing. But a lot of people don't know about this. And that's why what they've tried hasn't worked. They don't know that your goals need to be attached or rooted. I don't want to like the word attached, but rooted in your soul's intention. And that your direction and your energy need to be aligned with that. and that when that happens, it does become easy. And what happens in the outside world then just tends to be feedback, right? Oh, well, that didn't work, but my soul's intention is true. And usually what doesn't work is when you're swimming upstream, right? Fighting that current, that in which you drink the Kool-Aid of do this, do that, do this, do that. That whenever it happens to me, whenever I drink that Kool-Aid and go, oh, this marketing book says I got to do it this way, and it doesn't feel right, it never works anyway. And then I've just wasted a lot of time. So, I love that we're talking about alignment and ease is the true path. So now I would love to ask you about I know you love to work in what you call the science of success. So I would love if you would share with our audience a little bit more about what does that mean? Because, if people are listening to us and they're like, okay, that's a little woo-woo, guys, come on. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am a little woo-woo, but there's also science. So let's talk about the science.
Yeah, I think that it is great. Talk about woo-woo. I think it is great that science is finally catching up with what the mystics have been saying for centuries. The mystics have been saying, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. If you can do this, you can. And we have been told in the past that once our mind is there, it's set. It can't be changed. And with all the information like neuroplasticity, you can change your brain. You can change the neurons that connect to each other. And that's one of the ways that I help my clients, is to look at their thoughts. And when they're not supporting where they want to do, then they reframe them. I have this, what I call the AIRR method, AIRR, awareness. Just notice those thoughts. And then you want to interrupt it. Have a strong, powerful interrupt, like up until now, or I used to. Then you release that old thought and replace it with a new thought. And that's where neuroscience comes in, because when you do it this way, it actually gets back into your brain and it can become hard-coded in your brain. So for example, I used to be overwhelmed with all I had to do. And now I'm taking action every day to create success. So by saying up until now, or I used to, you allow it to go into your subconscious, and that's where the action takes place.
Right. That's NLP, right? Yeah. That's a really cool thing. It's learning how to talk to ourselves instead of just listen to that bully that's in there. Tell us you're
or
going
listen to the people, or all those people out there too. You don't want to listen to all those people out. And that's why it's important to have a group of like-minded people to support you. People who believe in you when you can't believe in yourself. So you want to have that circle of friends or coaches or whatever, a circle of other human beings that can support you.
Yes. And it's not that hard to find. I'm so surprised that when I chose to go down this route to become a coach, the amazing people I've met, including you, I've known you for a bunch of years. And it's like the more people that and the more you invite that with that expectation, aligning the expectation, with where you want to be. And then, you just end up meeting the most amazing people. And then they introduce you to new concepts, new other people. And before you know it, you do have this beautiful circle of people who are in support of and growing alongside you, which is beautiful. So that's beautiful. Let's talk about, I just wanted to mention one more thing about these neural pathways you're saying. The way I always explain it to my clients that I coach is, you've had these thought patterns that have been with you for decades, and they are well-worn ruts, and your buggy wheels can't get out of these ruts. And they just so fast that that fear and these ruts are keeping you rooted in that old stinking thinking. So as we are creating these reframes that you're saying about, that we do the same thing, you and I, we do the same thing. We're creating these reframes. We're really creating a new road, a new pathway. But you've got to spend a lot of time in that to make those the ruts, because you can't, the other ruts are there. And a lot of times I know clients might expect, well, sometimes my thoughts still go there. I'm like, oh, that's going to happen. You just have to choose to not believe them. You just got to jump the track, get to the new track that we're making new ruts in. Just remind yourself. And that just becomes a habit. It doesn't mean those old thought patterns are gone. It's more like, it's like looking through an old box of old stuff. Oh yeah, I remember this. I remember that. I remember this. I remember that. But it's not meaningful to me anymore. So that happens when all your new stuff, your new way of thinking, the new reframing, then you're creating those neural pathways, which are those new ruts, if I like to think of it like. So I just thought that was worth mentioning, because I have had clients think there's something wrong, that their mind will still go to these old scary places. And I'm like, oh no, that's just what your brain's doing. It's just, that's okay. That's fine. Just jump it back to the right track that you already know what that is now, because you've done the reframing. Okay. So let's talk about some actionable items. One of the things I love to do in this podcast is to give people something they can do today, right now, right now. What is one thing that you would say that someone could do to get better results with less effort?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to just notice what your thoughts are and just say, no, thank you, and move on. Or you can just say next. If the thought comes to you, just say next and see what comes to you next. My go-to is always gratitude also. So when you're feeling in that stuck place, just find one thing to be grateful for and really feel that gratitude. And when you feel that gratitude, you will see things differently, and then you will be able to do things differently. So just notice what your thoughts are and notice how you're feeling. Find one thing to be grateful for and see what comes to you, and take action based on what comes to you once you're in that grateful state.
Right. That's a beautiful tool. That's something that anyone can do right now. Another thing that I like to do is, I was saying, when you answer that question about, I'm so happy and grateful now that, whatever that answer is, to have a mantra that will pull you back to that whenever your brain's going somewhere else. Right. So my mantra is, it's already done. It's already done. And that'll pull me right back, because success should be measured by the answer to that question, if that's true, not by a goal achievement. We got to detach from those goals. So, in my mind, it's already done. That thing, my soul's intention is already done. Or, I know there's a lot of people out there that have mantras. I've heard one that's like, you'll see, you'll see, like, watch me, find a mantra that really feels good and is tied to that soul intention. And then just use that. That's another way to pull yourself back. And of course, I love, because what I do exactly what you say. If some crazy thought comes my way, I go, oh, just a thought. I dismiss it. I demote it. It's not truth. You don't belong in the truth pile. You belong in the baloney pile. So I do the same thing. So as well. So those are some really good tools that people can do right now. You don't need to spend money to do it. You don't need to go anywhere to do it. These are things that happen internally. You and I both know, as coaches, we can't do the work for our clients, but we are guides, and we can teach them how to do the work themselves. And these are tools that can take lifelong with them, tools that they'll have forever, which is a very beautiful thing. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap up. So I want to thank you so much, Lynn, for being on Conversations with Your Wow. I know you have something to share with our audience, and I'd love if you would tell us about it and how to get it.
Yeah, I have a guide called From Doubt to Action, how to move from limiting beliefs to a limitless business. And this is what I talked about before, using the AIR method, coming up with the vision of that what you would love, use the AIR method. And then the final piece is always action. Because without action, nothing happens. You can't shift your thought habits. You can't have a dream for the life or business you want and then sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix. It just won't happen. So you have to take that action. And your action just might be to get a copy of this method so that you can shift your thought habits and create the action you want and have a life you love and a business you love without sacrificing either one.
That's very beautiful. That's a beautiful action item to do, because we want to have aligned action, right? That's not just any action. We're really good at doing action in the wrong direction, wasting years, doing that. So aligned action. So if what we're talking about today, listeners, if what we're talking about today, it resonates with you, then you want to take aligned action. So I will put the link to Lynn's gift in the show notes. And I also have something that I love to share, and it's called Success on Your Own Terms. It's a little workbook, and it's really how to stop chasing someone else's definition of success, redefine success around who you are, because I truly believe that when you wrap what you're doing and how you're doing it around who you are, success and happiness will meet you there. So in the show notes, I will also put a link to my free resource about that. So Lynn, thank you so very much for guesting on Conversations with Your Wild today. I'm so happy that you've been here. As always, it's fabulous speaking with you. I know we've probably enlightened some audience members, because that's what we're here to do, is to just help make life a little easier for people. So I'd also like to thank you, our devoted listeners, for sharing your time with Lynn and I today. And Lynn, is there any final things you'd like to say before we get going?
Yeah, when you were talking about your mantra sort of thing, what came to me is one of the things that you can do when you're in this rough place is just say it has come to pass. And just know that it is not permanent, that you can change it and it will become part of the past.
Yes. And it will become part of that solid foundation upon which we create our future. That's the most beautiful thing.
Exactly.
Awesome. Oh, that's a really great PS. I love that. Thank you so much. All right. That's our show. Once again, I am Linda Bucher, guiding smart, heart-centered leaders to make a splash that ripples positively in the world. And until next time, please subscribe and make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.